what do you think about, what are your views on same-sex marriages? And do you think Sri Lanka has a long way to go in terms of how society perceives same-sex marriages?
Anyone is saying that we don't have people who are homosexual around us, we are all stupid. It starts from the parliament all the way into the most religious environments. It's everywhere. It's a human thing. My father's family does not talk to me for the past 12 years of my sexual interest. I never wanted this. If you believe in somebody above you who is guiding you as a superpower, if they can't love you for how you are born, then there's a problem with your superpower. I just feel like...
How do you deal with cyberbullying? I mean, how do you respond to those who bully you?
Even personally, cyberbullying is nothing bad. Just
Yeah?
saying. I think bullying has been a part of my life always. Like I used to have, I can say it here, right? I don't care.
රස උපරිමයි.
Hello everyone, you're watching Conversations with Alanki, and in today's episode, I will be in conversation with an incredible person. Now, he was recently the recipient of an award for the most loved talk show host in Sri Lanka for the year 2021. He's a celebrated personality, a very bubbly person. But the reason I have this conversation with him today is because he has an incredible story to share. A story that inspired me, a story of resilience and a story of courage. Today, I'm happy to be in conversation with the incredible DANU INNASITHAMBY. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I really wanted to have this conversation with you. For some time, but the lockdown and whatnot. DANU, you are a celebrated personality. Everyone knows you. You're a known face in Colombo.
Then, and I lived in a place called Chillala, which is also known as the Little Rome, because that community around had only Catholics. And predominantly, it was known for a miracle that was recorded with St. Joseph vase. So it is very much connected to Sri Lankan roots. So when he was being searched by, I think, the Dutch or the Portuguese, I'm not so sure, for promoting Catholicism, he hid in a house,
Right.
which is our house, which was like a small hut those days in the 18 or 1700s. So it goes down in history. Our neighbor has his cross. And the first ever statue of St. Joseph vase was made by my dad in 1983 and given to the church, which is there.
Wow.
So when he was a blessed Joseph was, when he was running to be a saint. So that's where we come from. It's a very Catholic community. So that's where I was born. We lived a very good life because they were all doctors of 10 generations. So they were wealthy, they were respected, they had everything that they want, multiple cars, comfort at its best, sorted. Till the war hit in 1992 on the 22nd or the 28th of August, one of the 2 days. Ironic story here is the fact that the irony of all of this is that's the same day they shifted into the new house, which is right next to the old house. So they had to get out of the house on the same very day. We moved into a camp. We lived in a camp, and I think that was the start of my father's end, because it was too much for him in terms of more than the luxury and everything. He just said, why should I leave my home? I still remember that line. And he actually went to sleep with all the bomb noises around. Like it's just literally exploding on either side of us. He was fast asleep. For the vibration of the bomb, the dust from the ceiling was moving down. And when Dada got up, we actually saw his body framed in pure white and the rest was all brown. Because he just couldn't be bothered. He just slept. He just didn't want to go. But of course, we had to leave. And eventually, my mom had to even make a call whether it's going to be me or my sister who's going to get on the bike, because we couldn't take the cars out. Because I was literally getting into it was like a chronic fit. So mommy had to put me in and go. And she hugged my sister. I don't know what she thought at that time. It's either goodbye or whether I'm coming back or, oh my God, would I ever see my daughter again? It was just chaos. But Dada went back again to bring her and come. And after that, only I think my mom relaxed. So that was the highlight. We lived a very simple life after Dada died because we didn't have anything to fall back on. Mommy was a teacher. My father's family kind of ignored us. I think they were there, but they were there on their conditions. So life was very simple. But I think Mommy was just wonderful. She gave us all we need in life and more with the little bit she had. Uh, she never came from big wealth, but she came from a place that could manifest the highest amount of love, I think. She gave us great family times, great story times. We all slept on the floor together in this one small place, I think the size of
This
this
was
table.
after you moved to
Yeah.
Colombo.
And we had such good memories.
What was your move to Colombo like?
Terrible. In the sense, we had come through a place called Kulali,
Mhm.
not Palali. Palali is I think the airport place. Kulali is where we got in, where the boats used to come and take us. It was like a 4-day journey, and it was not a pleasant one. They treat you like cattle,
Who is they?
the LTT, because you have got permission from them to leave Jaffna to go into Colombo. But you can't just take an A9 road. There was no A9 road, it was blocked. So you have to go on a boat. The boat is tied to 5 other boats. I think on the day we came, so many people died out of the other boats because we paid a premium price to sit in the motor area of the boat, which has more control with the waves. It's a boat, not a ship. I have to always tell this to
Yeah.
people. So it's just like that. So when it sways, you either see us once and you see the others. So it was, then we had to walk, get into a tractors, because during the landmine areas we go. So they just throw you in, like when you can't get in, they just get in. And then you have nothing to hold in a tractor, right? You are just like cattle. So for the landmines, you just literally, not that they're exploding, these are all places that had exploded, but yet there will be one or two which might be a silent attack. You'll never know. So it's a risk you take. So we were holding on to people's everything. I think I held on to people's body parts as well, just for a grip. You literally get thrown up and down like this because they're like huge potholes.
Mhm.
And after that, you walk so many kilometers. It was a never-ending journey. We come to Vavuniya. That is the point where you get freedom. From Vavuniya, we took the train to Colombo. We were ideally, because one of Dada's students, because he was also a lecturer, so one of his students was staying in Vavuniya, and that's where we stayed that night to change. But my sister was adamant. She said, we need to leave tonight. We are not waiting another day. Just leave tonight. So we left that night. I still remember what I was wearing. It was the first time I changed after the Jaffna journey, because like for 4 days we were in the
After
same
4
clothes.
days.
Yeah. I wore this light blue and striped shirt, short sleeve, and Mummy had like a sweater, sleeveless, because it was cold. And when we were coming, I think it was in June, so I think the Perahera crowd, so Anuradhapura, like people got in and the train was full of people. So I remember that day so well until we came to the fourth station and got out.
That is some journey, Danu. And this, I mean, I don't think many people know this side.
No.
And many people don't really know what people went through.
And some people actually think I lie about the fact that I actually came from Jaffna and this war.
But that's
and
why
this-
you call yourself Jaffna boy.
Yes, correct.
But like, how was your move to Colombo? What was life like in Colombo? You spent so many years in Jaffna and then you moved to Colombo. What was life like?
I wanted to eat sausages. It was so the first meal I had was sausages.
Mhm.
I had sausages and bread on the 4th of June. I was fascinated. It was my favorite meal. And I still remember drinking water in the Kotena house where we stayed as we came. I was like, this water tastes so different because Jaffna water is very heavy because of all the
right.
chlorine, because of all the gunpowder and all of that which is in the
Mhm.
soil. They put a lot of chlorine. So I was like, oh, this water tastes so different. Up to now, if you go to Jaffna and drink water off the tap, you'll see a difference.
And having lived in Jaffna and then having moved to Colombo, Danu, do you feel that people in Jaffna are still open to the same opportunities as the people in Colombo?
Currently, I will say yes. I feel people from Jaffna or anyone who has been deprived of opportunities in life, they thrive to shine more. So I'll give you an example. In Jaffna, we had no electricity. So we had to burn kerosene or oil or whatever to have some light in the house.
Okay.
But it's so expensive. We're talking about an egg in 93 was 50 rupees. In 93, that's an egg that's gold that's coming out of a chicken's boo-boo. So
And 50 rupees is quite a lot in
it's
93.
hitting 30 here now.
Yes.
So you can imagine how hard it was at that time. So so those mega bottles were like thousands. It was in
Oh my
thousands.
goodness.
So Dada used to buy and keep if Akka gets a monthly cycle or something. Just because Dada could afford it, he used to buy it because he knows that, they'll want it. But not everyone had that fortune. So when we came to the shift between Jaffna and Colombo, I think people here never understand what it is like to go through the war, because however much you read it or see it visually, you'll never know the in-depth of it until you live it.
Yeah.
So, and I don't blame people for it as well, because you can't expect everyone to live it. Everyone in Colombo also had a fair share of the fear. People have actually asked me, are you happy that the war is over? And I did annoy a few people saying that a bus is going over. I did annoy a few people by saying, yes, I'm so happy that the war is over. And I don't care how it ended. And I mean it. Because, throughout, yes, I know there was so much of human rights violation. People died on the last day and so much. And I agree with all that pain. There were so many people dying from the 80s all the way till 2009. Who is counting those deaths? I think these people who died on that day, in my opinion, they have sacrificed their life for the future to live at least a life that they can dream about. So I am grateful and I have gratitude and love for them more than the fact that, I'm just happy that it's over. It's one of those. So you will only understand the value of having no war if you've been in that.
And you lived through it.
Yes. And like how many kids had to go to school and yet be like, oh, can we? But still they got 10 A's and 4 A's. And so I was telling you about the lamp story. So they found ways of how to save the oil for the longest time. So they were always they'll come up with something to keep themselves going. So we never had desserts there. There was no chocolates or whatever. There was this toffee. It was the size of a barbell because it's this big. You put it in your mouth in the afternoon, you are chewing it till night. It's so huge. But we never had butter. My mom used to make cakes for us with margarine. It used to taste a bit salty, like the cake has taken a dip in the sea. But it'll never rise because it's always flat. So mommy will make 3 to 4 layers. Because for my 6th birthday, mommy made, it's a 6 as a theme because mommy can do all these. And I never knew what cricket was to start with. So she's explaining what cricket is. I'm like, okay. She said it's a 6. 6 means it's a big thing in cricket. So she made a cake like that. But everyone finds a way. I think when you're thrown into the deep, you'll find a way to swim, right? It's one of those.
Well, you either swim or you drown.
Correct.
And you swam.
Yes. And I think many in the north or anywhere that they were affected, they swam.
This is quite an intriguing and interesting conversation. We are going to take a small break. We'll be back soon. All right, we are back, and there's more. There's so much more I'd want to talk with Danu. But first, it's time for a cup of Viva. Enjoy.
Thank you.
And Danu, growing up, what was your ambition in life?
I clearly didn't have anything.
Seriously?
Yeah. So my life was very, when I came to Colombo, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anyone. I didn't even know English properly. Still, my English is terrible. I make grammatical errors so many times and I know it. And I have accepted it because it's my second language. And I will learn till I die, I think, because I never studied in English. I was not born into the royal family. So my mom was very good in her language and she was an English teacher. She used to always correct spellings. My spellings are atrocious. But when I came to Colombo, I literally didn't have anything that I had in mind. All what I wanted was to stay with mommy somehow just lived that life. I hated going to school. I used to cry the first 2 years because I thought mommy is going to die as young as dada in my mind. I thought that's the cutoff age for people who are living. So I used to get a stomach ache every day and somehow stay back at home. But eventually, I think somewhere around, mommy forced me to join the choir.
Mm-hmm.
First few, mommy used to even give me 10 rupees to go. She was like, I'll give you 10 rupees if you go. I think mommy had a purpose behind that, but I hated it not because of the fact that I didn't want to sing.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone around me dressed better. They came and got on in cars. I just didn't have clothes to match them. And I felt left out. And like some of those English words when you sing like Gloria, I couldn't read them as fast as they will. So I felt embarrassed. So I trying to explain this to mommy and she never would listen. But she told me, go. That was my start. I think that's where I started putting my energy towards entertaining people. Because I loved, when I was in school at St. Patrick's in Jaffna, I used to do it. I lived on stage. So here I found it my comfort zone and I ended up loving the choir. And I found people who accepted me for who I am. Sean J. Sudasan, I know he'll watch. He was the first person who gave us a Christmas hamper. And in that hamper was the first time I had cornflakes. It was in 98. I was in grade 8. I was so excited. Before I went for, 99. Grade 9. Before I went for Christmas Mass, I so wanted to have that. So I made hot milk and cold milk and I tried it with both. It was the first time I was eating it.
Right.
So it was like a big thing. So Sean, I'm always so grateful. That was the first ever hamper we got in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So life was like that, like the smallest things used to excite me the most. And mommy made us understand that, we were not missing out on much. Mommy made us feel like we had everything. Of course, we didn't have. Like there was a time when we didn't have a house to go to because the person who we had paid this rent like in advance to, and mommy had pawned a chain or whatever, and somehow managed to pay like 120,000, told us to leave. Now the problem is, even if he gives us the remaining of the key money, we just don't have the remaining to put and go to another house because we were planning of staying here for at least 2 years. From that house we lived in had a very brothel entrance to it. You can only take a bicycle down that lane. And weird things happen down that lane. So mommy will never let us go out of that house after 6 o'clock. But those are things that we could afford. Then we moved into a house where the pit was in front of us. The pit of all the houses was in front. It had no windows. I promise you, it had no windows. It had one door. It was so funny. But because even for the dog to go, we'll have to move for the dog to go. Because we had a dog called Danny Boy. But we had fun. Like that's when I started to work while we were in that house. I was 16.
Well, you were happy, and
We
that's
were
that's what's important in
Yes,
life.
I never understood what unhappiness was until mommy died. That's when I realized, oh, this is what it feels like. Because mommy made us feel wholesome. And actually today is mommy's 11th anniversary. 15th. Yeah.
And I'm sure she's looking down on you, Dalu, and I'm sure she's very proud of how far you've come in life. You've come so far in life. Do you ever look back and think, oh my gosh, I've come so far. I can be proud of myself and my mom would be proud of me?
More than all of that, I am just so thankful. That's what I feel every day. Like, for example, one day when I was getting out of this vehicle, somebody opened the door and closed the door for me. And I felt so bad and guilty that I put the shadow and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not used to it because we have been treated like trash. And that's what we are used to. It's one of those, situations. But I'm so happy. I have a wonderful sister who is like my rock. We fight, we cry.
And she cooks so well.
Yes, she cooks. I think she took over the role of Mummy Dada because I was always the child. And she's 6.5 years older than me. I'd like to say 7, but she keeps the half. But it's just that she made me feel protected. So I think everything we do, like, for example, so I had a small car for the longest time, but I had a mission that I will buy the car with my own money. So I collected, and I only bought a car when I was 30, and I was happy with it. I was like, I don't have money, so I'm not going to buy a car. Why should I beg, borrow, and buy a car and then struggle to pay it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll take a cab. So I didn't care. I will even go, even when I started to like work, when I had early morning shows from Piliandala, I couldn't afford the cab. I used to go in a bus. I did the bus and I didn't work because I was just too tired when I did for the radio show. But when we were going, so I bought a bit of a bigger vehicle, and I started to use it from October this year. And we had to go for a concert, and Akka, I really wanted Akka to experience sitting at the back and going in a nice big car. And she said, Danu, this feels so nice. We never had these. And I'm so happy that that is happiness for me. Like that little step is joy.
And that gives you a true sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, and more than anything, like I'm grateful that in some way we are trying to keep mommy's dreams alive. That's how I think. I know this may sound very cheesy, but it's the truth. Like we always do things like what mommy would have wanted.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
I can truly relate. You've been in this industry for a long time, Danu. What I mean, have you had any challenging times in this industry?
of course, I was 16 when I got into it by
Mhm.
accident. Because when I was a crash my whole world maths, no, not the smartest. So
Oh, right.
so then I had like, now the school was like, you can't do A-levels if you don't pass your maths. So then mommy said, okay, stay back and do. I was like, okay, I'll do the math paper again.
Mhm.
But I didn't want to like do nothing and just be. I always thought I should do something that I really like. So I never knew what you call a radio presenter. I just
Uh-huh.
thought somebody who talks. So then I called all, and we didn't have a home line. So I used to go to, they had, but can't give mommy such a big bill, no. So I used to go to a communication center and call. So I'll have all the numbers written, MBC, ABC, all of them. I'll call everyone and say like, can I know how I can get into this? So eventually, like this, I called ABC, and somebody called Ray Gomez was the manager at that time for Gold FM picked up. I was like, come for an interview. It's like, okay. So the next day, I wore my best clothing I had, which we buy from this dead man shop for real. Put gel like tail and went for the interview. And I didn't know where where World Trade Center was. So I had to call Akka and I'm like, where in the world is this thing called World Trade Center?
Mhm.
She was like, go to Golf Face, get onto the last hall, look up. The biggest building is World Trade Center. It's like, oh, okay. Real good day it was. The pants I was wearing, I don't know whether I'm dragging this too much. The pants I was wearing were these cargo pants with the two pockets on the side.
Right, yes.
But because I love clothes so much, I also want to trendy those days. So I used to buy these clothes from this shop in Delavatta, where this guy had like one tooth out. He used to sell dead people's clothes, or reused, or old clothes, or whatever. So I used to buy that because, like, for $50, $100, you can buy like these pants were winter pants. Okay, they were like layered. It was this thick.
Okay,
So if
okay.
mommy ever washes it, it has to dry for 4 days. It's so
But
heavy.
you like them anyway.
Because I wanted the look.
Right.
Oh, I'm like,
You wanted the funky look.
yes.
Okay.
I was drenched, Temila, but yet I went for the interview in that to look cool. I got the job. So that's how I started to work when I was 16. I started training. But when I got into radio on a full time, and I thought, okay, media is going to be my path, I was working at E. The others who were working at E had just left school. They were like, yo, let's have some fun. It's a part-time job. Like, so their idea of a salary night out is like partying, having a drink.
But for you, this was a real job.
And this was my salary. So I used to give it to the house. So I'm like, no. So they always thought I'm like a bit of a loser. But
Oh.
no, and I don't blame them because I always think the person's thinking is not their fault. It's how they are surrounded. So they don't understand what's happening in my house, no? So then eventually I left that job, although I got like a good increment. My boss was very nice to me. When I got my first increment, I got an increment of 35,000. I was 18. I used to earn 5,000. when I got the letter, I was like, what am I to do with this? I said, you're the only one who has asked me what you can do with extra money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh. So then I called my mother and said, I'm coming in a trishaw, mommy. And she's like, why? Because I got an increment. So I went in a trishaw to my Relvata home and I gave the letter to them. I got it on the 30th of December. And from there I went to, you can beep it, I went to No Limit to buy a shirt because I love clothes. No, I bought the NLH brand, which was the premium range.
Oh, nice.
I bought a maroon and black striped shirt to wear in celebration of my 35,000 increment.
You should be so proud of yourself. And Danu, you're quite vocal about cyberbullying.
Yes.
How do you deal with cyberbullying? I mean, how do you respond to those who bully you? And it's not just like I've been through it as well. I'm pretty sure most public personalities go through it.
Correct. When you have been bullied in person, cyberbullying is nothing, baby. Just
Yeah?
saying. I think bullying has been a part of my life always. Like I used to have, I can say it here, right? I don't care. I used to have man boobs. So I used to be pinched. I used to be called names like Kukubonwan and all those stuff. And once they pinched me and I started to bleed, and then they said, oh, muta ratu kiri enawa, and they threw me into the girls section. They're like, you belong in that area. I don't have any of these grudges. I think when you're going through your teens, you behave like that. Not everyone behaves that way, but when you're the weaker link, you get to, now of course nobody will mess with me because I tell them off in the nicest way possible. But cyberbullying for me is nothing next to all what I have gone through in direct life. But recently I won an award for which was like 3 days ago. And it was a wonderful feeling for me to receive the award. And all what people have said it, there was comments going
Congratulations.
on. Thank you.
I do remember this now. You won an award for Role Model of the Year. Yes.
So they said, "Mu khao the role model, mu khanne ke vitarai karanne, mu mahata wedi." Those were the comments, and I was like, "But what can?"
But hey, eating is happiness.
Yes, and I was like,
and not everyone is blessed to do that.
Correct. I've lost 4 kilos. If you can't see it. but it was a wonderful feeling for me. I don't care about people will always say something, man. I know one thing in life. We all have problems, right? Everyone measures their problems on the same level. Me having a shoe cut today and being unable to wear my favorite shoes to go out somewhere, and you losing the most special person in your life to, let's say, COVID, the pain, the trouble, the inconvenience, all measured in a person is equal. You know why? For this person, his biggest thing was to go somewhere wearing these beautiful shoes, and now he has a shoe cut and he can't go. So irritated, is fine. The same thing. Another person also disturbed from their normal routine. They've lost somebody who they love. So I always think one person's problem, you can never understand.
You can never really say one person has bigger issues.
Correct. I always feel that.
What do you think about what are your views on same-sex marriages, and do you think Sri Lanka has a long way to go in terms of how society perceives same-sex marriages?
I think, okay, let's not legalize it, we'll say, at least decriminalize it. So that people can, if anyone is saying that we don't have people who are homosexual around us, we are all stupid. It starts from the parliament all the way into the most religious environments. It's everywhere. It's a human thing. My father's family does not talk to me for the past 12 years of my sexual interest. I never wanted this. I never said, oh my God, please, I really want to be with the same person like me. No. If I can tomorrow wake up and be like, hey, Kishani, I find you very attractive. Can I go on a date with you?
I'll be so happy.
Thanks. I'll be the happiest man because I don't want this stigma, name calling. Like whatever they do, the only thing they will say is, first thing they will say. Even if I win the Nobel Peace Prize, they will say, are you trying to say that they will not say that? It's the first statement I get. If they can't criticize me in any form, that's the first line they use. So all what I have done in my life just melts in front of my sexual orientation. So I would be the first person who will want to live a normal life. We are not we are made this way. I really wish it was the other way around. I want to have a child, I want to have a wife. I will be so happy to not go to all these fancy events alone. I'd like to go with somebody who I would like to and be proud. So I don't know why people have such a fuss about me. It has been there from way back when, all the way till today. And you can't change it. So people are born. That's what I think. And I feel like if you believe in somebody above you who is guiding you as a superpower, if they can't love you for how you are born, then there's a problem with your superpower. I just feel like nobody's going to hate you for what you like to do in life.
All
My
right.
opinion.
Those are your views.
Yeah, was I too strong?
No, in fact, I mean, I do agree with you. I feel the same.
I don't want to be born like this, man. I was born like this.
But Danu, you have to understand you are who you are today because of who and what you are today.
Correct.
So, I mean, that's something everyone ought to accept. Final question to you. What has life taught you?
To be grateful, to appreciate, and also never underestimate anyone. Everyone adds some value to you. Everyone gives you some kind of light at the end of the tunnel. It could be a bad tunnel, it will be a great tunnel, but it is an opportunity. And also never forget where you come from. Like, remember it, treasure it, love those who have helped you. Like a lady called a lady, I don't want to mention her name, she would not like it. She bought me my first computer once, secondhand, but I was so grateful. She barely knew me. She just said, "Can you take printout?" And I said, "I don't have one at home." And she was like, 2 weeks after, she was like, "Come with me." And why should she do that? She did it because there was good in her heart. There are so many people like that who have helped me when there was nothing. So we need to treasure that side to it. So that's what I like about life, and that's the biggest life lesson I have learned, I think.
That is some wonderful advice. Danu, I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
And I have to say, Danu's story truly inspired me. When I heard about his story, it made me feel like if Danu can do this, if he can face everything and get this fine life, it's not, I mean, what are my issues? And this is a story I want to share with all of you. I hope you enjoyed this story, this conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I've known you for so long, and I'm so happy to see where you are and what a person with principles you have grown up to be, and I appreciate that. And
thank you, Danu.
Thank you.
I mean, you always interview people, and you interviewed me. So it was time for me to have this conversation with you.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Wishing all of you a very happy new year. Stay blessed, stay safe, and take care.
උකු ගතියෙන් වැඩි මෝල්ට් රසයෙන් පිරිවීවා තේ එකට එකතු කර උකුම උකු තේ කෝප් එක උපරිම රස විඳ ගන්න. උකු ගතිය පිරිවීවා තේ එක සුපිරි.